If you're anything like us, then a life that is lived through meaning and purpose is very important. But sometimes identity, and especially what we attach to our past identities, can conflict with our perception of self and how we move forward in life. Today's episode, we'll be talking about identity, purpose, and the modern meaning of crisis. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Adam. How are you today?
Greetings, brother. Greetings, Earthlings. I've woken up with a little bit of a crisis of meaning and purpose, but luckily I've got this podcast and I've got you to set me straight. So I'm good to be here.
That's beautiful. Well, dear Earthlings, of course, we are extremely grateful that you're here. Today's episode is a very important one, especially for me, because most of my life, I've been looking for the meaning of my life. What does it even mean to have meaning in life? What is the purpose I want to live? To get us started, as traditions dictate, I want to give us a quote that helps us get into the episode. This quote is by Viktor Frankl. You may have heard of him. He was a Auschwitz survivor, and through kind of his experience in the concentration camp, he analyzed what meaning actually means in life. It's from the book Man's Search for Meaning, and it goes like this. When a person can find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. And with this, I want to throw the ball to you, Adam.
Caught
Got it.
it. Yeah. See it a lot. Seen it in my own behavior, seen it with clients, um, how we look for a way to cope when we're missing something in our life, missing meaning, missing purpose. We have a void to fill, maybe a pain to numb. Then we reach for a distraction, and we're always trying to go from pain to pleasure. Um, and again, in my own life, I've observed when I have a deep amount of meaning and purpose with what I'm doing, the work that I'm putting out into the world, and how motivated and inspired I feel. I definitely feel that I'm less distracted, or distractions actually don't have such a strong hold on me as when I in those periods in my life when I don't have as many as much to fill it to purposeful work and action. So yeah, I totally speaks to me, brother. Yeah, nice start.
Yeah, and I think nowadays, especially, in the past 2, 3, let's say 5 years, with the emergence of AI, but even before that, social media, the distraction it's so easy to get to us. And then the comparison to the outside world, we're constantly kind of in this vicious circle where our meaning is outsourced, right? We see someone who is doing maybe something similar than we do, and we compare and contrast, and our meaning then becomes something, yeah, outsourced.
Yeah, and I think that's dangerous, isn't it? Like when it's, comparison and comparing yourself to other people, um, it kind of means that you're veering away from your own purpose as to why we're here. I kind of like to see it that, we're all playing the same game but with different tools. And the moment you start comparing yourself to someone else, you've missed the point in a way. We're all on a unique journey, a unique path, and that's again, I think, underpins a lot of the stuff that we're doing with our work, with the business Inner Earth and our program, the Pathfinders, that helping people to recognize that they are on their own unique journey and their own unique path. And so actually to look at someone else who might be doing this, that, and the other, and comparing yourself to them, it's like comparing apples to oranges. It is excuse the pun, a fruitless task, um, um, and you're just setting yourself up for a lot of disappointment. If you can accept who you are fully, recognize that you're on your own journey and you're at a different point in it, a different place in your path, and there are different things that you need in your life or require, then you can go on your own fulfilling journey to find out what that is for you. And it may mean money and materialistic things and a nice car and a nice house, or it may not. Your journey might be about something else, and sometimes we've got to accept that our journey might be very different to the one that we're hoping for. Maybe there might be a deeper reason for it that will come out, but that will ultimately make us feel very fulfilled. This is a quote, Joseph Campbell quote that I think we've used on previous episodes, and it's that you must be willing to let go of the life you've lived so as to live the life that is waiting for you. Um, so it's a good little one from Joseph Campbell, which I think speaks to that. Are you living a life that's been designed by yourself, or are you living a life that's been designed by others? And I think that also speaks to families, friends, society, governments, nations, and how we're influenced by all of these external factors and environmental factors. And but are we truly creating a life based on our truth and desires? And I think when we spend the time to try and really tap into what that might be, I think then we find ourselves on a path that can bring us true fulfillment. But we have to really connect with our own deep inner self in order to sort of find out what that is and what direction that might take us in.
Oh, yeah, that tickled something in the back of my head. And I'd like to invite you to go a bit deeper here, because that means, right, there's an identity that needs to die. But in order to let it die, I have to accept that this new life that is waiting for me, right? As you said in a previous episode, I first have to put something down in order to pick something back up. Um, there's a lot of fear kind of coming up in me, and from my experiences in the past, where I had to let that go. There's a fear of emptiness. Yeah, this, the overarching, I guess, element here is my old identity that I've given so much value to and I've connected so intimately with, now no longer fits. How do I even begin to move forward here?
Well, I think you start on a journey of self-reflection, being honest with yourself. I think the process starts with that honesty, honesty in where you're at, honesty with yourself that you're unhappy, um, and the recognition that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over again and expecting a different result. So once you understand that, you recognize that if I don't change or anything changes, then nothing changes. So I think that's the first point. Um, and I think then we enter the messy middle that we've talked about before. Um, Messy middle that has no orientation for you, that you're not quite sure who you are, what's forward, what's backwards, and then you have to go on this journey of self-discovery, um, and be patient. I think patience is one of the greatest qualities when you're in that messy middle, in between phase. Um, and the ability just to keep asking yourself questions like, who am I? Who do I want to be? What things do I value in my life? What brings me joy? What brings me passion? Um, Expose yourself to new experiences. Learn about yourself, learn about who you are now, because maybe the version of yourself that you knew quite intimately maybe has evolved and changed, and you need to evolve your own understanding of what that is. And I think then it's only when you've gathered enough of that information about this new evolving version of yourself, that then you can start making the choices and the decisions that align with that new version. Because until you go on that journey of self-discovery, you'll just be making decisions and choices based on an old version of who you were, which means that the path ahead won't feel connected with you anymore. Yeah. Does that waffle answer your question?
Yeah, beautifully. Thank you. And what I also kind of take from this is that, you said be patient, there's no rushing. In order for new meaning to form, um, or a new purpose to emerge, it doesn't have to be forced. It comes with a level of surrender into the new beginning, right? And when we then surrender to, um, I keep saying the isness of things, then it will automatically emerge. We won't be, it's not forced, because once we force a new purpose or a new meaning into our life, actually what often happens is we go back to the old because that's what we know, and therefore we force ourselves back into it.
Yeah, that's really it's a great point, buddy. Life doesn't force anything, doesn't it? Life kind of happens organically when it's meant to, when it's and not a moment sooner, you know. Um, the leaves fall off the trees at a certain time of year and not at any other. Like,
Mm.
the shoots start growing from the ground at a certain time of year, not at any other. Um, the roots and the shoots that you're laying will, they'll take root and they'll flower at the time that's right for you. And unfortunately, I guess our consciousness often wants things to happen faster and sooner, and we get frustrated by the waiting game and the patience that's required. But there is a natural process going on that actually I don't think maybe we once were intuitively aware of it, but I think now we're a little bit more disconnected with our own intuition and nature. Um, so I think being able to, I think that's an important piece actually to what you've just said is I think if you can start remembering that, nature provides us with all these beautiful examples, right? And you are nature. I am nature. We're part of nature. Therefore, we're governed by the same cycles that govern nature and our surroundings. And I think um, if you can go, do you know what? I'm currently going through a winter, and that's fine. I'm just going to have to wrap up and hibernate for a little while before spring arrives again. Spring will arrive again because that's the law of the universe that everything changes, nothing stays the same. So just trust that everything will change at some point. You just need to recognize what season you're in, maybe, and deal with, like you said, the isness. Deal with what's in front of you. Um, and yeah, and trust that the answers will come when you need them, and the right action as well. The right inspired action comes through in such a fluid, flowing, unforced way. Like you and starting this podcast. We've known each other for over 10 years, right? Over 10 years. It's only now that we've started this. Like I started the whole Inner Earth project in 22, but it's only 4 years later that the time was right for you to come in. The right pieces of the puzzle had moved around to such an extent that it was like the ground was being prepared for you to come into this project, and it couldn't have happened 4 years ago. It couldn't have happened last year. It couldn't have happened 5 years ago. It's only now that it could have happened because the fertile soil was ripe for the Roman seed.
Oh God. Innuendo galore.
Yeah, too many, and I would just
Yeah.
yeah. How would you like to speak to that, brother?
Yeah, and not much, but what I believe truly, what there's a gnosis in me that if we would have forced it 10 years ago, 8 years ago, or 4 years ago, because I have been part of Inner Earth from the very, very beginning. I was one of your first kind of guinea pigs in it. We could have back then said, okay, right, let's do this. Let's, forget about you going on your journey. We can do this together. It wouldn't have worked. We had the mental capacity to do it, but it wasn't the right timing. So I think what you speak to in regards to recognizing your human season as part of nature is so important. But it also takes a lot of trust in this game we're playing, right? To sit there, okay, it's not now, but it will, whatever is emerging will come, and it will be of benefit.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, dude. It's really easy to intellectualize all of this stuff,
Hmm.
but when you actually got to play the game, it's challenging. I've been here myself, you know, maybe only 18 months, 2 years ago. I sat at the edge of my bed, sort of like, what's going on? Like, I don't know how to get through this. Like, I don't know what's next. I just want life to move on, and I'm stuck. Um, and I had to be patient, and had to just wait it out and keep taking the right action, knowing that it would come, and knowing that things will change at some point. But right now, I'm having to deal with where I'm at. So, yeah, absolutely. And I thought just to play us out, I just kind of a couple of points I wanted to just to touch on around purpose and meaning, and going back to that wonderful man Viktor Frankl that you quoted at the start. So I'm bookending our episode with some of his work as well. He created a therapy called logotherapy. Within logotherapy, he talks about something called tragic optimism. And tragic optimism is essentially, yeah, I guess,
Fitting.
becoming an alchemist. Yeah, yeah. Um, uh, Kind of becoming an alchemist in life and seeing and turning suffering into human achievement. It uses guilt to better oneself, and it draws incentive from life's transitory nature. So essentially, tragic optimism is the ability to be able to sort of turn lead into gold, turn challenge into opportunity. And I think that's where you can derive deep meaning from challenging situations in your life and use them as fuel to move forward. And a quote just to sort of finish with, again by Viktor Frankl, because wow, what an inspirational figure. I don't think anyone else can talk about this stuff with such insight as someone who's lived such a horrific life experience. But this is it. Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how. Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how. So if you've got a strong enough reason for getting out of bed in the morning and moving forward, then you'll find a way. You'll find a solution to get over the bumps that will invariably come your way. So I think I'm going to leave that one there for you, brother.
Beautiful. I'll take this as an invitation to close us out. That's a beautiful quote. And I'd like to, or we'd like to know, what is your why to get up in the morning? Um, how attached are you to your identities, and what are you doing to free yourself from these attachments? Leave us a comment, like, share this wide and far. We are super proud of creating this. Adam, I'm so grateful to be doing this work with you. It's a real pleasure. And in the show notes, you find all the information that you need. Our website, innerearth.co.uk, is a fountain of knowledge, and we love to see you there. Hopefully, the next time you're back here. Now, Adam, any last words?
Peace out. Thank you, brother. Always a pleasure seeing you. Always a pleasure having these conversations. Thanks for being part of this journey with me. And thank you to Inner Earthlings for tuning in once again and listening to us waffle on about life's deepest mysteries. See you on the next one.